You are now listening to Femme Regard Podcast with Tessa Markle
and Carolina Alvarez.
Femme.
Hey, fam. We have another awesome guest for you today. Today's guest was referred to us by a previous guest, which we really love. And we love also when you listeners send us guests. I think we say this all the time, but we're really grateful because, you know, we have a ton of people that we follow and a lot of people that we want on this show, but to know that it's someone that you guys already care about and already want to hear from, like that's exciting to us. And
thank you, Miss Carrie Nasina, who was a prior guest on our show. She's a brilliant acting coach and gets to work with amazing actors and talents such as our guest today,
Dana Lyn Baron. She is an actress. She's also been a producer. And today, right now, when you listen to this episode on release day, her movie's coming out in theaters, being the Ricardos. She has a really fun part in the film, and we are super excited to go see it. I mean, I was already excited to see it because I love Lucy. I love Aaron Sorkin. I was already planning to go see it, and now that we know somebody in it and got to hear about her experience, I'm even more
so excited. It looks just amazing. I mean, everyone in it is brilliant, including her. So we are so excited.
Yeah. But before she even did that, she was in the Oscar-winning film Mank. She has TV credits from Bosch, Shameless, American Crime Story, This Is Us, Criminal Minds. Like, this girl's been working, but she's been working hard at it for a lot of years before she really had the kind of success that she has now. And she's going to talk about that in this episode, which I love to hear. And, you know, it can be disheartening sometimes when you feel like you're working for years and not getting anywhere, but to see the payoff at the end is so rewarding. I love hearing those stories.
Completely. I feel like one of the biggest takeaways for me was that she's just someone who really listens to her intuition and like keeps the eye on the prize. Like she knows what she wants and reminds herself of that. And it's not an easy journey, like you guys will hear, but that's just something that she just kept on doing. And it's just really inspiring. So I think you guys will get a lot of great takeaways. Even if you're not an actor, this is definitely more actor based, but just that whole mindset, we go into it a bit. And I think it's a great takeaway for wherever you are in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So without further ado, our interview with Dana.
Enjoy. Let's start back to the beginning of your career, because you have done so many amazing shows, and we don't have to really delve into that. I really want to get into the hot stuff that literally the elephant shit you're dragging throughout right now. I really want to get to that meat and potatoes of stuff. But just for our listeners, you've worked on so many amazing shows. And I think I read somewhere that you got started, you were living in New York, Broadway.
I didn't make it to Broadway. I actually, if you don't mind, I want to go back further because I would love to, and certainly don't mind putting in perspective for maybe some of your listeners. I've been around a while, decades, and it's been a long journey, and shit is happening. And then the good kind of shit, the good elephant shit. It's happening.
The one we want to step in for good luck.
Yeah. But I started performing in somewhat earnestly in my teens. I was a dancer before I was an actor and started doing musical theater professionally when I was 16 was when I did my first show. I grew up in San Diego, and I did not come from a showbiz family at all. And here I am. And my sisters, I have two younger sisters, and we all danced. We all did all the things. And we were really good, all of us. We accelerated very quickly, but they didn't go towards performance as I did. But as it was, and since we were just in San Diego, and LA at the time was maybe 90 minutes away, not the 10 hours that it is now, traffic. I was in dance class with a few kids, including a young Mario Lopez and Taryn Manning, who they were younger than me, so I wasn't close with them, but we were all there. Anyway, there were these kids who were auditioning and booking jobs in Los Angeles, TV shows, big Barbie commercials that ran for months and months and paid for their college tuition. Once upon a time, commercials did that. But anyway, so I had this yearning, like around 12, 13 years old. Like that was when I had the first thought, I want to do that, but I didn't really know what that was, you know?
Yeah.
I just wanted to be on screen. There was something about that. But my mother is not a stage mother at all. So what did I do? Because I'm such the go-getter. I don't know if my grandmother got it. I got an LA phone book. Phone books, everyone. Do we know what that is? what those are? And I just looked up agents and called them. I was like 12 or 13. And I was just calling them. I didn't know anything. And they were very kind, I remember. But they're like, honey, does your mom want to drive you to LA? I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, well, you may want to wait. So But
that initiative you had to just like want to figure it out at such a young age is really cool.
Yeah, it says a lot about me. But so that,
yes, girl.
Those are good quality. No, I mean, resourcefulness, perseverance, smarts, business savvy, the beginnings of business savvy, like that's definitely all very useful to have. Not completely necessary. I have some actor friends who don't have any business sense and somehow they've done very well still, which is very lucky for them. But I always was, I started reading the trades when I was 18. Variety was my go-to, and I was reading them. Or the production charts, I believe, were Hollywood Reporter, and that I'd look in them for the charts, but Variety was where I read my day-to-day, like, who are all the players in the industry and what's going on? And I knew all these things and all my actor friends did not. But so anyway, dancer, musical theater, but here I am, and I'm not going to show you a picture. Sorry. But I know this is a podcast, but I was, how do we say? I was awkward in that I was not, my external parts did not match my insides. Like I was this old soul in this young, and I had braces. I was not, I don't know what, I was just awkward. I was weird. I didn't fit in anywhere.
Sounds like my musical theater experience.
Yeah, but it wasn't. And so it was a musical theater, but also like even at school, like I always felt like an alien. Like I don't fit in anywhere. I don't understand kids my own age. Like it was kind of rough. And I always got along like, I was the youngest member. My first professional musical theater job was a regional production of 42nd Street, and I was 16, and I was the youngest member of that whole cast. All these equity members, experienced Broadway opera, and I always wanted to hang out with adults. I've always been like that anyway, from when I was a little kid. But they were amused by me, and I thought, oh, I'm fitting in, and then I knew they weren't including me in everything because I was not emotionally or mentally in the same age as them. Anyway, I digress. I mean, by the time I got to college, though, my mother, again, not the stage mother, but God bless her, she knew I loved performing. And again, I grew up in San Diego. So during my freshman year at UCLA, where I was not a theater major, she said, oh, do you want, La Jolla Playhouse has a summer conservatory program. Why don't you audition? And I did, and I got in and had some wonderful conservatory training for the summer. And I was like, oh, I kind of like this. And my favorite note from one of my professors, who was a Juilliard professor at the time, because I was in college, I was getting graded for that summer program as well, for credits. But his note was, and it was perfect. I was B+ was my grade. So I was a B+ actress at the time. Not bad for a beginner. And he said, has potential, needs training. To which I replied in my head, duh, yeah. So then what happened after that, though, I met some wonderful actors, actors way further along than me as far as their craft goes. Some young actors they blow me away. When young actors are talented like that, it's just something special. But I met some that then turned me on to what happened my next summer. I auditioned for and got into the program at Oxford University in England, the British American Drama Academy. And that was my aha moment. Yeah. I was one day I was doing some wonderful work, having, you know, how those out of body experiences you sometimes have when you're working. It doesn't happen every time, but sometimes you do a scene and it's like, whoa, where did we just go? So I'd started to have that. And I was walking through the beautiful courtyard at my college at Oxford, and all of a sudden it felt like a punch in the gut. And I started sobbing in the middle of the courtyard in the middle of the day. And my friend saw me from afar and she runs up. She's like, "Oh my God, what's wrong? What's wrong?" I'm like, "I'm going to be an actor." Like it hit me like, oh no, this is your path. This is your career. You are choosing it now, which means telling your family that's full of doctors, lawyers, people with normal jobs, and choosing this thing, and also choosing to move to New York after college, which was also a big thing because prior to meeting other actors from New York who were super cool, and I was like, oh my God, there's super cool people in New York. I was like, I'm never living in New York. I just thought I would never live there. Yeah. I had a thing against New York. Don't know why. Can't remember. I'm blocking it out. But anyway, but all that is to say, I don't know how to tell short stories. After UCLA, though, I moved to New York, and I'm happy to call my 20s in New York my graduate school. And I flailed. I couldn't get arrested. I did not get reps. I was going to the Equity building to all the auditions, lining up at 5:30 in the morning to audition for fucking Beauty and the Beast. Date me. Anyway, and I started to look around those rooms at Equity, actually. And I was like, the girls in the flowery dresses. And I was never the ingenue type. I just wasn't. And I knew it for the longest time. And also, I struggled with my weight I was a very overweight child they determined it was genetic reasons. Who knows? But, my weight and food, I've really been on a big journey with all that. It has everything to do with just my love of self and self-worth and body image and God going into this business I'm in. And I have that stuff, from when I was a little kid. It was like a big thing. And so to go to Equity or anywhere else and I was a Corrine. When I did musicals, I was a diva dancer. I was a diva tap dancer specifically. I did all the tap shows. But I struggled. Like one season I'd be really thin, and then the next season I'd put on quite a bit of weight. And so I was doing that whole thing. And I looked around, and my thought was at the time, they don't want you if you're a fat dancer, they're not going to hire you. That was my thought at the time. So there was a lot of
that's kind of what it was expected, at least, like even when I went to school, like it was like, you need to look a certain way.
You need to look a certain way, and
for the character types too. Like that's what I mean. Like I always felt I didn't fit in a certain character type as well. That's why I was like, I can't do this.
And so it's interesting because again, in my 20s, that like casting directors I did meet, some of them flat out told me, and I'm glad for it, we don't know what to do with you, we don't know what to do. We don't know where you fit. You're like, you're young looking, but you're just odd. And a couple of them, and a friend of mine said, and this made me so mad at the time, but it was so right. I'll speak to this one friend who, she's one of those Harvard grads who knows everything. And she wasn't in the business herself, but somehow was really savvy about it. She one day took me aside and she goes, "Dana, you're going to make it later. You're just going to make it later because things are just, you're going to match up, and your talents and who you are on the outside and inside, it's just going to all align later. I just feel that's what's going to happen." And I was like, God damn it. And I don't want to wait. But she was right. And I started producing films. I want to toss in there too during this time. While I wasn't being successful at all as an actor, I fell in with the indie film crowd and started running around
in New York.
Making short films and feeling like I didn't know what I was doing. But people seem to always think I know what I'm doing for some reason. I have a look on my face. I don't know what it is. And I will say my one regret, I'm so glad to have had that experience. It was really hard. And because though I'm a recovering control freak and perfectionist, it was really hard. Like I so wanted, it's just my nature I want to figure this out on myself. all by myself. I want to figure this all out all by myself. Whereas if I could go back, I'd know, one of the things I would have loved to have done and just didn't is a mentor would have been nice. A producing mentor. Asking for help is hard. I was very stubborn. I'm going to figure it out myself, but ask for help when you need it. And also do the ask, whether it's for help or anything else going on in your career, ask, because if you don't ask, it's always a no. So that was something I eventually learned. Wish I knew it then. And the producing too, like I always had this sense of, I don't know what I'm doing, which was true in a way. And I figured out a lot, but you know, it's funny because I used to, when I came back to LA, eventually I nannied for some film people, and this one producer who worked at one of the biggest studios in town, I said to him once, I don't know what I'm doing though. And he laughed. He goes, none of us do. I'm like, yeah, well, but you're at this.
But like you're up there.
I mean, when you're at that studio, you know some things that I don't know how to do. And so it was like I said, it was graduate school, just doing everything. Yes. And doing acting in little crappy plays in the black box theaters. And eventually I started also volunteering for things like Gotham Film Awards and festivals. And that led me to working and volunteering for Sundance Film Festival for 3 years, which was a game changer as far as me suddenly learning that, when we're all in mittens and parkas, jet hats and all that, we're all on an even playing field. I could talk to you. I don't care that you're the president of this agency or that. I got really comfortable with networking through my work at the festivals. So I highly recommend, if you haven't, get involved and participate, show up at these events. And especially if you're not so comfortable being in the crowds and talking to people.
Yeah, that's good advice too, to not just attend festivals, but get involved, because especially, you know, it's tough if you don't have a film in the specific festival you're visiting or just aren't working on anything at that moment, and you meet people and you feel like I have nothing to show for myself, which is never there's always something you can talk about, but that's how it feels. So if you're involved, then you've automatically got something to talk about.
Yeah, I'm working for the festival. Or I have to tell you something, because that's something actors deal with so much, this shame or uncomfortability about, what do you do? I'm an actor. What have I seen you in lately? Or what are you doing now? And when we're in those periods, moments or whatever, where we're not working on a project or don't have something about to come out, it's just, I used to hate it. Oh, dreaded that question until finally, I forget how it happened, but I came up with my answer to it every time. What do you do? And I'd say I'm a woman of leisure.
I like that.
If I wasn't doing anything at the time, I would just say, I'm a woman of leisure.
Yeah.
I do what I want. Yes. And but it would shut them down because they wouldn't have any.
They want to keep asking. Yeah. They're like, oh.
And then I'd
switch
and then
they'd be like, can I look up leisure?
Look up woman of leisure, like Life of Riley. Riley is kind of my alter ego's name. So Life of, anyway, I know that it's weird, but it worked. It worked. In New York, it was very good. Where was I? I don't know. Like my journey, right? Like I came back to, I was going to say San Diego. No, I didn't. I came back to Los Angeles in 2002. Why did I do that? Oh, because I was done with New York. Like it was just, I follow my gut a lot. My gut speaks to me. And after 7 years, I actually was coming back from one of my Sundance film festivals and was in the car from JFK into the city, and I was looking out the window when the skyline appeared. And remember how at Oxford I said I got that punch in the gut thing? Like it literally feels like that. It felt like a punch in the gut, and it also was like this thunk feeling, like a curtain coming down. And I suddenly went into this panic in a way, like I have to leave New York. I have to leave. And this was after 9/11, by the way. So it did or didn't have anything to do with that. It was time to go. And within 3 months, I was in LA. So it was kind of intense, and I probably made it more intense than it needed to be. But it was time to come back to California, where I knew I always intended to end up in. Still couldn't get arrested for a little while, but it was my 30s were the beginning of getting to know and like myself, truly.
That's powerful.
And it's really it's a big key to this whole puzzle. I have to be honest. Like yes, there are very successful people in our industry who have all kinds of self-loathing and just other self-worth issues. But I think that's why the people we see in our business who maybe look to be a bit of a mess and maybe don't treat themselves well, harm themselves, is because of that. So in that sense, I'm somewhat grateful that I didn't find success earlier when I was in such pain, really, and just truly not liking them. Yeah, I wouldn't have been ready for it. I would have covered very well, but I would have gone home and I probably would have binged on food or something like that. So I came back to LA and just started, I don't know what happened. I was doing a play. I had become a member of a theater company here in town. And it was the first time this has happened, actually. I was doing this play, and one of the fellow cast members, her husband was a producer on a big TV show at the time. And he said, I want to bring you in to audition, and brought me in for a guest star, my first primetime TV audition. Have you ever gone on stage or just somewhere and felt like you swear your knees were knocking and everyone could see that your knees were knocking? Yeah. So I felt like
mine is always that I'm afraid they can literally see my heart beating in my chest.
Yeah, or in your throat, like the heart and throat. Can't you see the outline of my heart?
You can see my vein bulging, can't you?
Yeah. So I felt I was and I'm very hard on myself. Remember I said I was a perfectionist, control freak, all that. And I didn't have full belief and command of my work. But what was a blessing, so it was a really cozy room, by the way. It was a straight to producers session. They had a couch. It wasn't just a cold conference room, which I used to, I interned with some casting offices, and their producer sessions would be in big conference rooms sometimes, but this was homey. It was really nice. Yeah. I left. Now it was really great that I had a personal relationship with that producer now, because you could do what you can't always do, which is ask the people, or even share honestly, which is what I did. I said, I was so nervous. I felt like I told him, I said, my knees were knocking. I so wanted to do a good job. He's like, Dana, stop. They really liked you in that room. So know that. And no, we did not see your knees knocking. So that was really helpful. That was a boost. And that's what set me on another path. Besides, I believe we're athletes. And so if we're not on set, we ought to be training and doing our craft however we can, in class, wherever you do it. Yeah. So I was doing that, but what I wasn't doing was working on, I realized, this is a mindset thing. And I started down that journey, which thankfully didn't take very long. I think my soul was just ready for it. Being afraid.
Can you break that down? Because it can sometimes sound woo-woo,
mindset.
Right? Yeah. What is that to you?
It kind of is, but I will share, and I don't mind naming this person because a lot of people may know him or know of him, a brilliant actor, but I was led to someone named Jack Plotnick, and he, does this wonderful work with and for actors. And he did it for himself first, which is why before he did it for actors, he was doing it for himself. But frankly, it involved a shit ton of affirmations that I literally said over and over and over and over and over and over and over while I was preparing for auditions, before auditions, in the waiting room. I wouldn't be looking at my line. His whole process was, in the waiting room, don't look at your lines. Focus on, I release and destroy my need to get this job. I release and destroy my need to do this right. So mindset, well, think about it, guys. It's woo-woo and it's not woo. I don't know what to say, but we all think about your vulture. I call it the vulture. Other people do too, but that voice, you get an audition. If you have any kind of voice that's telling you, you're not good enough, or they're not going to like you, or this is hard. Just the belief that this is hard. I want to toss out there here, I'm name dropping. No, but I got to know the casting director, G. Charles Wright, who used to cast that 70s show in the middle. And he's a wonderful guy. And I took a class of his a while back, a workshop, and he said something that I just grabbed and I've remembered ever since, which is just, Although someone said recently, that's terrifying. I don't consider it terrifying. Just knowing that when you're in that room, and I know we're doing self-tapes nowadays, but when you go in that room with the producers, casting, whoever it is, like for those 5 or 10 minutes, you're the only one who gets to play that role. Like for those, you were playing that role. It's yours.
Yeah.
So enjoy it. Share, this is me in this world, in this story. Me.
Yeah.
No one else.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I want to do and then leave. Bye.
Yeah.
I love that notion of knowing for these few minutes, I'm the only one playing this part.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like, auditioning is such a big part of what we do. I mean, we're auditioning far more often than we are actually playing things, so you have to enjoy it, or else why are you even doing it? Like, and that's mindset. Like, it took me a long time to be like, okay, there's so many reasons that I'm not going to get this, or that I might not get this role, besides just me doing a bad job. So who cares if it's done right? Like, B, why am I doing it if I don't love it? So I have fun at auditions now. I get way less nervous. I don't like, I'm not worried about it afterwards. And so, it's so important to really just wrap your mind around it. Yeah.
Yeah. I also am fond of when I'm done with an audition, just if I can out loud, I'll say it out loud, or just in my head. All right, next.
Yeah.
But it is, I don't know if I broke it down enough. I can try and maybe find a way to articulate, but mindset is, it's just about, if you catch yourself, if there's a voice that's negating anything about what you're doing right now, then that's something to explore, because it matters.
I've been fighting that just to be open. Like, that's something I really struggle with, and it
Jack
sucks.
Plotnick, unless he changed his website, if you go on his website, there, one of the buttons that you can push has all the affirmations, so you can take what hits you and what strikes you as something that you want to work on. And I swear that really changed everything for me. And I was going to say, we can turn on the TV any hour of the day and see things where we're like, there are people who get to work who maybe aren't the best actors in the world, but I could tell you what the common denominator is for all of them is belief.
Yeah.
Simply belief in self, and also like a certain obliviousness to, like, that they might not be talented. They don't care. Like, they're going out, they're probably having a blast doing what they do. But there is that, I mean, I've met people and I've been envious of them, of the belief in them, the belief in self that I didn't have when I was younger. And it really finally landed in me by my late 30s, frankly.
Tessa. Oh my gosh. Vidafare is so cool. We can literally rent movies for so cheap.
And movies we probably wouldn't have gotten to see otherwise. Indie movies that don't normally make it to the streamers. What a great resource.
But how cool is it that the filmmakers make money too? Like actual money, not fractions of a cent based on hours upon hours of views.
Exactly. Filmmakers set their own price for a 24-hour rental, and viewers reap the benefit of micropricing. Everybody wins, and there's so much to choose from.
It's so simple. Fair trade film monetization. And all you have to do is visit vidafare.com. That's VIDA fair.com to make an account today.
So again, journey. Do I wish I believed in myself sooner? I mean, I have a niece who's about to turn 12, and she's already performing in San Diego in some of the big kids musical theaters, and she's legitimately talented.
That's amazing.
Like legit, and her belief and her confidence. I'm like, oh my God. She's like one of those kids that are just, they've got it. So so what else can I talk about? There's so much, but
no, that was such a great, just breaking it down of what you went through and how you pushed through it, and all of that.
Yeah. So and as far as by then my late 30s, I finally had theatrical agents, I think, not great ones or anything, but I started getting auditions. I will say I had the good fortune, because I've definitely talked to actors who are like, and I never have done theater to be seen for that. So never, ever. I do theater because I love theater. But I've had some things happen for me with my film and TV work because of the theaters I was involved with. So yes, that can happen, but that's not why I was doing that.
Yeah.
But what led to my actually my first primetime TV job was Criminal Minds, and that came from casting director workshop, which, you know, I have a real love-hate relationship with those things, but I have always believed in a targeted approach to it. Like, and especially when no one knew me, then I was going to a lot more. But my whole theory is, well, there's an office that's never called me in. I don't know why they're not calling me in, but they do shows I should be on. And so therefore I will go to see this person here because I need to share my work with them. That's it. But so that's how Criminal Minds came about. But then it was dead for a while. But then John Levy cast me in Shameless. And that came from, I had wanted to meet him for years and years and years. And he directed a play at the theater company I was in.
Oh my God.
And became a fan. And so, and he's an extremely wonderful, loyal guy. And he's brought me in for shit tons of stuff. Actually, my Shameless came after my 8th audition for it.
Wow.
So he kept trying. But so that happened, but then it was quiet again. And then fast forward to, I can't keep track, it's 2017, I think. I ended up on This Is Us, very like a small role that was practically not there at all, but yes, This Is Us. And then the big thing where I started to notice a shift just in the quality of, well, This Is Us was a very good show to book. Don't get me wrong. And Shameless was too. I mean, I would, yes. But I booked the assassination of Gianni Versace, Ryan Murphy's show.
Yes.
And that was a big deal. And what was interesting to see, I'd always sort of heard this, but I actually saw it. First of all, I started getting more auditions for FX shows. And also I started getting auditions in offices that were just bigger and ones that are, you know, on the proverbial target list. Like, oh, this is interesting. So I was saying, oh, when they see a certain quality of thing on your resume, this can happen maybe. And that led to, actually, this is funny because I didn't book this job, but it's still going to remain one of my highlights. I did a self-tape for, it's about to come out too, but they're doing another film of Macbeth that Joel Cohen's directing, and Frances McDormand and Denzel Washington are starring in. So I got an audition for it, which was amazing because I was like yelling for my agent to like, I have to be seen for that. I didn't know how, because I read the trades, I'd known about it like when it was first announced. I was like, I have to, how am I going to be seen? And then the audition came, which was great. And then I got to go to the director's session and I read with Frances.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that was, looking into her eyes was that will always be one of the highlights. I hope I get to work with her, but that was very cool. But then I got Mank a few weeks later, David Fincher's film that came out last year. And then what happened? Oh no, Bosch was before Macbeth. Like again, these things, it's just, I say this only because not to list off my resume, but like, again, this is like just the last few years, guys. Just the last few years, 4 years, Bosch, and then Mank happened, and then pandemic hits.
Everything's on pause for a minute, but
everything's on pause. But then everything was on pause, but I was very blessed. I do voiceovers as well. And one of my campaigns that I'd done in 2019 and I thought was just done, suddenly it's running again. And then they want to do some new spots. And so I was like, that was definitely a blessing during that time. And then beginning of this year, I'm sad the show didn't catch on, but I got a sweet little recurring role on Rebel, Katie Seagal's new show on ABC. And then a few weeks after that, I booked Being the Ricardos, which is about to come out. Aaron Sorkin's. And I've never, I have to share this just because I want actors to know this is possible. Okay. I guess I didn't think it was, or it happened to other people, but, so I'd never auditioned for Aaron, never met him, nothing. Right. Now I will say Francine Maisler, the casting director, she'd become a fan a few years ago. So that was helpful. Yes. But Aaron didn't know me. Okay. So they were self-tapes, right? Do the self-tape. Felt really great about it. It was like right in my wheelhouse. I just knew what I wanted to do with it and I did it. And then I did something that actors should never do, but I did it anyway, because we're all going to do it sometimes. It's okay. But I waited by the phone because I felt so strongly about my performance. I'm like, I have to get a call back at least. Yeah. That's just how I felt. I'm like, there's no way I have nothing. And I was actually, when you cause your own suffering.
Yes.
I was, but that's what I mean. Like, I'm ashamed to say, but it's okay. I'm like, I'm patting my shoulder right now, guys, in case you can't see me, but because I was being really hard on myself because I knew that what I was doing was ridiculous and hard and causing me to suffer and not feel good. And frankly, making me sick. Yeah. Like, why am I not hearing? And my manager, who's wonderful, is like, just, if it's in the stars, it's going to happen. Just take it easy. And it took, it was a Thursday night. I was talking to a dear friend of mine. I call her, she's like my third grandma. My other two grandmas are no longer here, but she's known me since I was 18, and we were talking, and I share everything with her, and she's like, she can become very stern, like a school marm, and like she's a former nun too, by the way. And it's not, I don't know why that's relevant, but anyway.
I went to Catholic school growing up, so I understand.
Oh, all right. No, but she's also woo-woo. Like, she was the former nun who left because that wasn't ultimately her calling, but she knows how to, like, she's hard on me on the best of ways. And she's like, Dana, you have to stop. Let it go right now. And I'm sobbing. I'm like, because I knew the truth. Like, you have audition and to the best of your ability, let it go. That's why I say next. It's hard. It's not always
especially with
easy.
an opportunity that you really want and you feel right for at your core. Like,
So wait for it. So Thursday night, this happens. I'm sobbing, but I truly actually, when you just finally feel that you've let something go, I actually did. I was ready. I was tired of feeling like shit. I really was. The next morning, I got the offer.
Of course.
No callback. No, but I was like, you should have seen me. I'm like, wait, don't I need a callback? Doesn't he want to give me notes? Like, I'd never had that happen. Certainly not on a big ass movie like that. I was cast off my self-tape for a major feature film.
That's impressive.
So
fuck
yeah, that was outstanding. And then I shot for it was 11 days spread out over a month last spring. And most of my work was with Javier Bardem. So I was I want you all to know, for when you work with him and or meet him out there, you're not acting with him. It was I felt like I was flying. And he's lovely for all the, these wonderful roles we've all seen him in. Yeah. He's really fun, and he's kind, he's warm, he's generous. He really elevates everyone. And Nicole and I our characters didn't have like direct interactions, but she was amazing too. I mean, as far as a leader on set and just watching her work, like I remember my first week, and the first time I saw her in costume, we were shooting. So my first time seeing her was her making an entrance, and I had to stop myself. I almost started bawling because she looked amazing. She sounded amazing. And she did this gesture, because I'm a fan of Lucy, Lucille Ball, and I Love Lucy. And she did this simple gesture, and it made me almost break down crying. Like, it was just really cool. And Aaron is a wonderful director for actors. He's so simple. His direction is so, if he gives it to you, and he does give it, but like simple. There's a scene in the film where it's just one simple line that I say, and I, do you ever hear yourself talking and maybe not even just acting, but even in life, but like you hear the words come out of your mouth. You're like, oh, I shouldn't have said it that way. That was a little, so I said it with a little too much, what's the word? A little too much seductress in it. Okay. I totally didn't mean it. There's none of that going on. Okay. I'm just Desi as a secretary. I do my job. So I heard it when I heard it, and Aaron called me over. Hey, Dana, come here. He's like, it's just business. It's just business. Yeah, got it. Yeah. But it was, but then he saw that I was like, I must have crinkled my forehead because I was being like, oh, God, I didn't get it right. That a little of that. He goes, don't take that note too hard. Like, oh, he sees me completely.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
amazing.
and this is crazy. He wants to be home for dinner. We always wrapped by like 5 p.m. every night. It was
Wow.
insane. So he works very quickly, but he also gives the actors, like, if they need another take, like, it was just fun. It was just, I don't know. I just want more of that. We all do. I know. It felt like I was also doing a play in a way, because I enter and exit all my scenes so much. I felt like I was always in the wings,
Yeah.
coming and going. So it was just really fun. I don't know. I feel very, yeah, it's been an incredible little ride, especially these last few years, but it's been a marathon. Lest I repeat myself, I don't think I've said it here, but I have, when I talk to others about these things, I'm like, this is not a sprint. It's definitely a marathon.
Yeah.
It's a journey. So if you're an actor, you're an actor. And sometimes we do need to check. I've checked in, like, do you really want to keep doing this? And if the answer is yes, well, there you go.
Yeah.
But if you think, well, I could work in an office, that'd be fine. Like, I've been offered jobs. I used to temp. My day job used to be temping. So in New York, I worked for Miramax and Scott Rudin I worked for. I have been offered jobs at these places. I worked at Warner Brothers out here, 20th Century Fox, Miramax also for a little bit when I first came out. I was offered jobs, but I knew I'd have to give 200%, and I wouldn't be acting.
Yeah.
Most likely. I mean, who knows? Maybe that was short-sighted of me, but also in my awkwardness and just my lack of belief, starting in my teens, really, I was like, when it came to a spotlight, that's okay. I don't need the spotlight. And it was a lie. Really, it was a lie, but I knew that people didn't see me.
Yeah.
Like, you're an actor? You don't look or seem like an actor, which is fine. You don't have to look or seem like an actor, but I didn't exude anything to them, but I was smart and capable.
Yeah.
And I could have run a studio. That's what people think.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to run a studio, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
And I did not. So I'm glad that I didn't say yes to some of those offers, because it would have been a different path, and it could have been a very enjoyable and fulfilling path, but I'm an actor, God damn it. And sometimes I'm like, God damn it.
I don't want to be, but I can't be anything else. Yeah.
Well, because it's hard, because I'll be honest. I mean, and we all definitely all go through this. Like, I haven't booked anything since the Ricardos, and it's frustrating as all hell. I felt very sad at certain periods, and frustrated and disappointed, because, our job is the auditioning, right? And I think we audition, and the bookings are definitely the icing on the cake. And it's the work. I mean, I earn a living doing that. But when you're not working for several weeks or months or years at a time, I've talked to veteran actors who you'd recognize from being series regulars on shows. When I've confided in them at various points in my career, they've shared, like, some of them have gone through like years of practically nothing going on. It can be scary. And and so that's why we need to have the side hustles and other hands in other pots, investing your money when you can, and being smart about all that. It's okay. The day jobs are just the day, that's just the job we do so we can do the career, build the careers we love, and do the things that are meaningful to us. I absolutely was compelled to keep going. I'm like, I'm not done yet. And again, back to my friend, it was a friend, and it was like, I forget if it was, she might've even been head of ABC casting at the time. Like, there were two people who I just very clearly remember saying that I was going to hit later. And so, well, in my 30s, that's not later enough. I've just felt like that's not later enough. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
This later they're talking about, they mean
which
later.
Is almost sounds like, especially in this industry, and it's annoying as hell, but like, you're told, like, in your 30s, like, it's gonna be rough. It's,
you can believe what you want to, but sure,
that's what
you can be practical and know that, there are certain, I resist using the word reality, but fine. You want to believe there's less work when you're over your 30s or over 40s or over 50s or over, believe what you want, but a belief, I'm quoting Abraham right now. Forgive me if you guys don't know who Abraham is, but a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So stop thinking it.
Yeah.
I added that. Their thing is, a belief is just a thought we keep thinking.
Yeah.
So back to the mindset with auditioning, if we're struggling with the thoughts the beliefs we have about ourselves or the
Yeah.
audition process or the people we're auditioning for, they're evil. No, they're not. They want us to be the one, you know?
Right. Makes their job
Right.
easier.
No, they do. They
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
Seen it.
So with regard to age and all that, I mean, if anything, I'm living proof. I'm about to be 50, you guys. I don't look it, I'm told. Yeah, hot
No.
damn.
Girl,
most
her
of the
skin
women
is
I
glowing.
know,
She looks
my skin is
amazing.
glowing. No, I mean, most women I know these days, because we care for ourselves and, with the exercise and food, just different from our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers.
Yeah.
Most women I know do look younger than their age. I actually, my body's in the best shape of its life, frankly. And I feel, and also I fucking know myself.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, I'll tell you where to stick it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Guess what? Because I do have other things to do.
Mhm.
If this all doesn't pan out, however, I mean, I have big vision. I'm not done. That later is still later as far as, I could be 89 or 90 when I'm done with all this,
Yeah.
But
I'm
that's
grateful.
what keeps you that's actually what brings, I think, like youth and rejuvenation and like all of that is having all of that. Like, because it's like you like, otherwise I feel like it's so easy to fall to the wayside of depression and like not having that purpose in life. And some people lose that, especially in the industry that's so tough.
And it is, which is why we have to also take care of yourselves and have a life.
Mhm.
Have a life. Go to museums, go to a garden, go to a park, go to the ocean, whatever feeds you, it will rejuvenate you and also provide. I'm someone who very much needs to have a different, literally get different, a change of scenery. I have a motto. I love travel, and I have to go away to come home again. Sometimes, when I'm in LA, it's actually, and I do go, I go to the various gardens around town, and we live kind of far from the ocean. So I'll admit I don't get there as much as I'd like to, but, I do very well when I truly remove myself from LA and like travel to Europe or Mexico, wherever. I do. It really, really feeds me. But sometimes you can't go that far. And so what are you going to do? Where can you go? What practices can you put into play for yourself? What rituals to remember who you really are? The acting that whatever we do creatively is merely a part of who we are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we can't show up if we aren't fed with, if we're not fueling ourselves, and not, that includes like fueling with the right foods, with the right stimuli, again, touching a tree or whatever, smelling flowers, whatever, music, listening to music, dance. Like the thing that really taps me in if I'm feeling off, one of the music plays a big part in my life. I often, when I'm working on a role, I often end up creating soundtracks for my character. Like music feeds me. When I dance, it puts me right back in my bod. And I mean, I'm not choreographing things here. I'm just moving to a song. I want a Prince song or anything. I don't care, just get in the body. And then the energy then you're moving, and then you're present, you're grounded, because we can't do our work if we're not present and grounded. Not truly anyway, because that's a lot of BS acting. And we see it. It's out there.
You can tell.
It's out there. So.
Well, that's great advice for anyone who is struggling or feels like that they need to find a way to reboot themselves and get back into it. And think about, like, stay focused on the dream, baby. Like, that's what everyone says is like but like literally some sort of whatever a vision board I think means to an individual. Like, I think that's like so key, especially when it's hard. And that's what I'm still like figuring it out. Like, personally, affirmations, I've heard it and it just still hasn't clicked for me. And maybe that's okay. Something I have to figure out. I don't know. Or
there's another tool for I mean, we're all so different. We're wired so differently. So people definitely respond to different tools. I know, the affirmations they really worked. It just like it was a real revelation. But I mean, short of that, I mean, so if you're not going to go say a more woo-woo route, then there are very practical things to do, which is I've already I mentioned being in class, or if you know that, if you're struggling with, like some people are legitimately brilliant actors and just suck at auditioning. Like it's a horrible experience. Well, I mentioned G. Charles Wright earlier, and his was actually the very first ever specifically film and TV class I ever took. Cause I was always like, I don't want that. I want to just do real work. I want to do Ibsen and Shakespeare and all that. But hello, if I'm not having success yet, there was a disconnect. Clearly there's something not comfortable. I'm not comfortable yet with this other stuff. So I took the class, and it was fun. Do things that shake you up. Yeah. So like if you're struggling with auditions, take an audition class, find someone good and take an audition class. And I don't care if you went to Yale or Juilliard or wherever, take an audition class, because oftentimes too, in our training in conservatory, drama school, or wherever you trained, it may be better now. So I don't want to speak out of turn, but like the practicalities of our business are often not discussed or dealt with in these programs.
It's not any better now.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. So take an audition class, or what I did too, after being in scene study for a long time, breaks are good too, by the way. So I'm not all about like, be the student forever, but that's the thing. I believe in beginner's mind. So I will always be the student in life and my work. But sometimes, like, I've taken breaks to say, go to UCB or the Groundlings, because put away the scripts and play. Yeah. Because Dana, I used to, I come from a very heady, intellectual, again, controlling background. Mm-hmm. So I recommend, if you're like a super Shakespeare nerd, go do improv for a couple months. If you're a theater geek, take a film and TV class. So rude. I don't mean to call you all geeks. I'm a geek. I'm saying that because I'm the geek. Same with, if you're, it's interesting to see when film and TV people who've been fortunate, I guess, it's not the word fortunate, like most of their career has been film and TV, when they go back and do theater, that's a whole nother muscle too. Right. I did something before the pandemic, which I'm so glad I finally did, because I believe in doing things that scare you.
Me too.
I wanted to do this in my 20s in New York, but it scared the shit out of me. And that's stand-up. So finally I went and I was led to, how timing is everything. Yeah. And I don't know. And within a week, 2 different people told me about the same person. I'll say her name here too. I was led to Lisa Sunstead and Pretty Funny Women. And she's been producing comedy shows for decades. She's a comic herself, and she's produced shows, Comedy Store, Improv, all the places. But her workshops, it's all women. Talk about a safe environment to learn to write jokes. It was so cool. And then you graduate, it's the beginning workshop. There were a couple people who were quite experienced, but they come back. It's kind of like how I would do beginning ballet, just because foundation is always good. Yeah. But you end with a show at Flappers.
Nice. I love that advice. Do something that scares the shit out of you. It's so, because it keeps you on your toes, and it keeps you from getting bored, and it inspires you,
It shakes you up. You need to be shaken up a little bit, in a good way. I mean,
in a good, yes. And especially like just challenge, like kind of like all your senses. You have to just like be so present too in those moments, and like, just deal with that.
I just want to thank you for your time, because this has been really awesome. Thank you. I like hearing stories from people that have been in the industry for a long time, because it keeps us motivated, I mean, I'm in my early 30s. I've only been doing it out here in LA for less than 10 years, but it's like, it already feels like, oh my God, when is this going to get easier? And it's not going to get easier, but so it's inspiring, and it's really motivating to me. So thank you for that.
Good. You're welcome.
I'm really excited to see Being the Ricardos. I was already excited to see it before we even got to meet you and hear about you. So now I'm extra excited. So Femme, definitely go check that out.
Yeah, we're going to be cheering you on. I'm like so excited, girl. Yeah, and just getting to know you, like we know, like it's gonna be really fun watching, because I'm like, we don't know you, but we know. We got to like get to know me.
You're part of the Femme fam now.
Oh,
Yes.
yay. I'm so happy.
Yes.
Can I just say something before I go? Like if you're whatever kind of creative you are, if you're an actor, you're an actor. If you're a writer, you're a writer. It's hard because I call them civilians. When we're not famous, civilians like to call us aspiring or this or that. No, if you're acting in any way, shape, or form, you're an actor.
Yeah.
You're not aspiring. Okay. And so just know that. And yeah, I am an actor. And yeah, I do a catering job now. I do that and I do this. I worked in an office.
Yeah.
I nannied. What else did I do? I don't know. Things. Yeah.
Whatever
it's
to provide so it served the greater purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's exactly.
That is like what I tell myself every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's true. And you'll know, I mean, connect with your heart and soul will speak to you. Watch out for the brain. The third eye is okay, but the brain.
Yeah.
I'm working on this to this day. It'll be a lifelong journey, frankly. When my brain likes to try and take the driver's seat, it was in the driver's seat for a long time. And I've been kicking it to the back seat now. And I have to remind it now and then to shut up.
Yeah.
Because my heart, it's powerful stuff. Like our higher selves do know what we're meant to do. And so we have to just get quiet sometimes and take a few breaths and listen to what you need, what you want.
Yeah. Make sure that we get our listeners any of your social media and stuff like that you want to share.
Yeah. Well, basically everywhere I'm Dana Lyn Baron, and I'll spell that because there's fewer letters than you think maybe. So I'll be honest, I'm mostly on Instagram. I'm not loving the Facebook really, but it's Dana Lyn Baron, and that's DANALYN BARON. So there's only one N in Lynn and one R in Baron. Some people like to add extra ones. But so it's at Dana Lyn Baron at Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. What am I forgetting? Anything? I have a website, danalynbaron.com. I have my voiceover site, dlbvoices.com. Okay. I think that's it. Is that enough?
Yeah.
And I'm on IMDb. You can look me up there if you want.
I was gonna say she's on IMDb.
Dana Lyn Baron.
Go read through her trivia.
Oh yeah, there's some fun stuff in my trivia, I think.
Nice.
Isn't that always fun? It's just like, what did people like? Source?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh. Yeah.
And that's when I'll know I made it. It's like when someone finds this random ass fact about me, like probably pulled it from this podcast. Like, did you know?
Yeah. She's missing a pinky toe. Anyway. I'm not, let's be clear, I'm not missing a pinky toe, but someone is.
Right.
Anyway.
Someone is, maybe. Oh my
awesome.
God.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely
so much.
plug you.
Yeah. And keep in touch, honestly. Like we love keeping in touch with our guests and hearing when they do new exciting things. So yeah.
Well, and likewise. And I will say, lastly, being the Ricardos, in case you didn't know, is in theaters on December 10th and on Amazon on December 21st.
Amazing.
So,
yes, go check it out.
Enjoy it.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you both so much. I had a great time.
Good. So did we.
Thanks for listening to Femme Regard Podcast. If you like what you hear, tune in every Friday for more tips on the filmmaking business and insightful conversations with industry professionals. We can only grow with your support, so please subscribe, share, rate, and review. You can also join the Femme Fam on Patreon. For more on us, check us out at femregard.com.